Hey and welcome back to a new video. Whenever you come across a product in our industry that has a fan attached to it and it's brown, you will think of probably a low noise level, high quality, sometimes high price, but usually also very high performance. May it be an air cooler like this or such a special edition GPU. And it seems like that JEYI, which is a Chinese brand, was also inspired by this. Because when I was browsing AliExpress, I found this CPU cooler. I went ahead and ordered the 6 heat pipe dual fan version, and it turned out to be a bit different than what I expected. That's what we want to test in today's video. You think your data is automatically GDPR compliant just because the server is located in Germany? It's actually not that simple. Due to the US Cloud Act, any American company can be forced to hand over data to US authorities even if it's hosted in Europe. European providers like Hetzner, on the other hand, are subject solely to EU data protection regulations and are therefore not affected by the US Cloud Act. With the right configuration and contracts, you can ensure that your data is secured in a GDPR compliant way. For example, with Hetzner Cloud, your data is not only GDPR compliant, it can also be scaled up at any time, flexibly and securely to meet your needs. You can find all further information in a €15 discount code for new customers in the video description down below. Before we mount the JEYI cooler, we will first mount this one, which was originally a U12A with 2 fans. I only currently have 1 fan attached, but I guess that's fine. We will mount it on this system, which is Intel Arrow Lake 285K based. Also a great chance to use my Astral 5090 LC, because I didn't want to negatively impact the CPU cooling results. That's one, I would say, big downside of using the current flow-through designs that you have on most of the GPUs, because the hot air is pushed directly onto the CPU cooler and you will definitely have higher CPU temperatures than usual. And with the Astral LC, there is a fan on the side, but this fan is not blowing through. It's just cooling stuff on the card directly, and you can see there's no hole on the other side, so that should be great. The CPU is running in the default Intel power profile, which means that it will limit itself quite early at about 220 to 230 watts that you can see right here. Also, you can see it here in the limiting region, core power limit exceeded. There is no other limit that is exceeded, so no temperature limit, for example. And that's also what we can see looking at the temperatures. They are below the temperature limit for the 285K. We see temperatures ranging from max 76 to max 88 on the P-Core 13 under load. But to be fair, that's only if you run it once out of the, I would say, cold idle state. If you keep running Cinebench for, like here, about 2 minutes, it will eventually hit the thermal limit. And like in this case, I could see max 98 degrees Celsius, so the CPU would be thermally limited by the cooler. That's why I'm using a second scenario with the CPU fan speed locked at 100%. Also the P-Core is locked at 5.1 and also a locked V-Core. That should make it easier for comparison. Now after a bit over 10 minutes, the temperature is pretty stable and doesn't increase anymore. The hottest core seems to be P-Core 11 with 92 degrees Celsius. The rest is sitting as high as 90 degrees, which is high, but you can see down here it is far from the thermal throttling. Also, the noise level from 20 centimeters distance was about 44 decibels. Of course, in gaming it's quite a bit different because the CPU load is just much lower. After about 20 minutes, the average CPU temperature is 45 degrees Celsius, while the CPU package power is an average of about 55 watts. Now the interesting topic, which is the JEYI CPU cooler. And I'm not sure how it is for you, but if I'm ordering a CPU cooler, I'm expecting to receive a CPU cooler. Like, you order the Noctua one and you get this, like, right? And here I ordered 2 different versions. Both are supposed to be 6 heat pipes, but one ARGB version and one non-RGB version. Yes, Noctua, I know it's blasphemy, but you can actually have a brown fan with RGB. At least that's what they are apparently doing. But then, you get this box, which says CPU cooler. Very creative. There's a world map on the back. And you get 2 case fans. The CPU cooler, and I'm not sure where they got this map from, but it seems to be that Africa and Europe are now the same thing. So yeah. Anyway, I had at least 2 strokes reading this. What is LED light radiator parameters? And then also how they are, it's like capital letters and then small letters, and then there's like fan air volume, which is 60 CF. I'm not sure what this is. It's probably supposed to mean 60 CFM. And then the best is this one. The parameters are subject to actual parameters and are subject to change without prior notice. What does that even mean? Where's my mounting kit? I mean, you know, it says Intel and AMD, and I ordered the version for Intel because I obviously wanted to mount this on 1851. There's nothing else. It's only this, and like, I don't know, it's maybe surely not included in the fans, right? And how do I mount the fan to the cooler? Just gonna open the second one. Maybe it's just missing in the first one. I don't think so. I also like how everything is missing, but they managed to put the protective film on it, which is, it's not protecting, it's harming it. You can see all the glue residues that are stuck to the heatsink, which will definitely not help its performance. And here's the proof that you can have a brown fan with RGB. It's not even the same color tone. Like, you can see that the corners, they look slightly different. It's definitely a different material, different color grading. Makes sense that the fans look a bit different, like it's different material for like this translucent material versus the brown material. I'm not convinced. I'm more and more confused the longer I look at this product. It's only one cable. How am I supposed to attach a RGB? Maybe there's an LED inside, but it's a nice looking fan. I give them that. Like, the RGB looks great, but it's RGB. It's not a RGB. And it doesn't really match with the brown color. It's great that we have a CPU cooler that actually works. So I grabbed this little fan clip, or how this is called in English, from the Noctua cooler. And I think I should be able to... Oops. Yeah, it's fine. I just added back the Noctua mounting kit, which I had already removed from the system, but I think I will need it in order to mount the cooler. And I think I will just try to attach it with some zip ties. First, I'm getting rid of the AMD mounting clips. I don't think we will need them. They might just be in the way. Should work. It's not gonna be great. It's also not straight. I attached it with 2 zip ties. I think it will work. The question is just, how bad will it work? First start. I just went into BIOS and I wanted to adjust the fan speed in the Q fan control. Then I figured out it's already set to 100%, which equals 1200 RPM. Which is at least not loud, but I don't think this will cool well. Idle temperatures are not impressive, but should work. I have absolutely no clue how well this cooler is capable of handling the heat of a 285K. That is why I decided to run the gaming test first, which is just a lot lighter. And honestly, this is by far not as bad as I expected. We can see an average CPU temperature after the same time of 50 degrees Celsius. And also, you can see the package power draw with 54 watts is roughly the same. That's not even that bad, considering that it's 5 degrees Celsius worse than Noctua's 120 euro cooler. Interestingly, the noise level is pretty much the same. It's a little bit less, but also around 44 decibels. But the question that remains is, what happens with Cinebench? We're hitting the thermal throttling quite early, and it's 104 degrees Celsius, but it's almost 250 watts. The score is the same as before with the Noctua cooler. So we're hitting the same performance essentially on a quick run, but with 15 degrees Celsius higher temperature. I don't have much hope that it can run the 30 minutes test for long. It took 1 minute to hit constantly 104 degrees Celsius and the CPU is heavily throttling. I saw as low as 2.2 gigahertz on some cores and then 4.5 on other cores. So the CPU has to throttle to maintain the max 104 degrees Celsius, but it's still dissipating 220 watts. That's better than I expected. It's now over 10 minutes. The CPU, I mean, it loves being warm, obviously, 104 to 105 degrees Celsius. It's happily downclocking a little bit here and there, but it's still maintaining 210 watts on average, which is much better than I expected. The result in the end was not as bad as I expected, especially if I look at the product page. This cooler is listed with 160 watts max, at least by JEYI. And maybe that's because they were not able to attach their own fans because they didn't have anything included to attach fans. That's maybe an explanation. But it's every time the same thing for me. I'm just ordering something on AliExpress and I'm like, okay, maybe this might work. You know, it has this, I'm copying Noctua feeling to it, but it could have been okay, right? But then they always manage to completely screw it up with not including any kind of mounting kit, not including anything to attach the fan to the heatsink. And then, you know, you have this, which is ARGB, and then it's only a 4-pin connector. And I'm not sure how you consider ARGB, but for me, it means addressable RGB. And with only a fan header, it's not addressable for me. And that's why I just can't recommend it. Even though for $25 US, if it had everything included, like the mounting kit and everything, performance-wise, price performance-wise, it would not be terrible. But that's also one thing, you know, with the Noctua cooler, even though it's quite expensive, you're not only buying something that works, you're also buying the full set of, you know, you have customer support you can reach out to if something is missing, for example, which is definitely not the case here. So I just can't recommend it. But overall, it also shows that you don't have to spend that much money to have an okay working air cooler. Thanks for tuning in. Till next time. Bye-bye.